Hello everyone, welcome back to more Windbreaker. This is Season 2, Episode 6. I'm super excited to get into this today, and also, I just want to say thank you to some of the people who've jumped onto the series recently, and are really enjoying. I mean, I'm getting, on my Windbreaker videos, I'm getting some of the nicest comments that I've gotten recently, and so I really appreciate that. It doesn't surprise me that much that, that I'm getting a lot of nice comments on my Windbreaker reactions because the show is such a kind show, you know, like an emotionally mature show, that I feel like the sort of people who love this show are more drawn to, you know, being more emotional, being more in touch with your feelings. And so I really appreciate that, you know, I'm getting some nice comments lately. So thank you everyone who's jumped on board recently. I've been really enjoying reading your comments, and please, if you were oh my god, I'm joking, if you are passionate about this show, keep those comments coming. I really appreciate it. And last episode we got introduced to Tsubaki. Let me just double check the name before I talk out of my ass. What's the show called? It's called Windbreaker. Hello, where are my Windbreaker notes? Oh, there they are. Yeah, Tsubaki-chan. Tsubaki no. And I did get comments of people, you know, making sure that I know that his pronouns are he, him, and also that, you know, he tends to be pretty open, and like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you use she pronouns at any point, because he's not the kind of character, like he's kind of open with that. But what I was waiting for was like an official confirmation, because sometimes, you know, fans will have like headcanons, or like there'll be you know, things that they're like, well, it's pretty much definitely this or whatever, but it hasn't been officially confirmed. But someone did actually show like an official translator of the manga saying that they got it, you know, that they were told to use he, him pronouns specifically. So that's the confirmation that I wanted. So now I'm very comfortable using he, him pronouns for Tsubaki, and I'm really excited. You know, people have said that based on the stuff that I like so far about this series and what I've said about the character so far, that I'll probably like Tsubaki and his development in the show. And I really hope I do, because yeah, so far good first impression from the character. And I mean, just a great design. I love his design in this show a lot. Like, it just, the fact that he sort of stands out so much while also being like, you know, good looking but cool, and like really allowing the gender norms to fade away with that character design, but not doing it in like a joking, like pointing at Tsubaki and laughing kind of way is great. I love that. So yeah, let's jump into the episode. This is Season 2, Episode 6 of Windbreaker. Make sure to support the video, and if you want to support me extra, you can go to my Patreon account in the description below. It has the full-length reaction. You just have to sync it up with your own footage, and you can get the whole episode, the whole reaction with me. So go check that out. But without further ado, let's jump into Windbreaker, Season 2, Episode 6. Oh, bunch of jewelry. Oh yes, we're already getting some backstory. It reminds me of the very start of My Dress Up Darling. I always loved that in My Dress Up Darling, how much he loved pretty things. The home of Ito-san. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cute. Just be yourselves. Yeah. Aw. He's a beam of light, but probably because Tsubaki is a really nice person.
そうかそうか。風鈴の子はみんなおしゃれだね。髪は綺麗なミモザ色だ。
It is really nice, isn't it?
花の名前だよ。
Don't think about that very often.
だいぶ年代物のようだが、よく似合っ。君の目は。
It's gorgeous. Yeah. I like how many people are complimenting him on his eyes.
海辺のことを思い出すな。あ、私その話好き。
Oh.
二人とも砂だらけになって。あ、ごめん。こんなところで立ち
He seems like a really nice guy.
あれ、さくらさん
知るか。
You gotta do something, Sakura. You're just standing around.
奥の部屋で待っててね。
Oh, dusty. Extremely dusty.
あんなに埃だらけってことは
Yeah.
今はもう着てねえんだろうな。
Probably since his wife died, he hasn't touched that room.
そうだ、おじいちゃん。今度私とデートしよう。あったかくなってきたし、おしゃれしてさ。喫茶店でも映画館でも。
He's so
グ
sweet.
レーの帽子とかだよ。おととしのお花見の時みたいな。ご夫婦でおしゃれが好きだったんですね。
So it sounds like Ito likes talking about his wife, so Tsubaki leans into it.
おしゃれな人で最初の頃にワンピースを送ったんだけど、それがチカチカするほどの花柄でね。今思えばありがたいけど、彼女と過ごした時間は幸せだった。
That's so cute and sad.
お邪魔しました。また来るわね。
Wow, what a cute
君の
scenario.
目を見たせいかな。奥さんのことたくさん思い出せて楽しかった。ありがとう。
別に俺は
You can't handle it.
まだ時々とても辛そうに見える時があるの。
Yeah.
大切な人を亡くしたんだから当たり前なんだけど。
Probably comes back in
それだけじ
waves.
ゃない気がするの。まあ聞いてもそんなことないって言われちゃうんだけどね。
He does seem like the type to care about others and how they
それでも
feel.
私はおじいちゃんとおばあちゃんは
Really?
私の恩人なのよ。愛してくれたの。ありのままの私
That's cute. How? What happened? Oh, I think we might see.
かわいいかわいいってあれの何がいいんだろうな。なあ
Oh, he wanted to be a part of that. That makes me very sad.
そうだこれやるよ。
Whoa, cars! So manly.
なあバイクがあったら俺も欲しい。
I mean, it seems like those guys are, you know, trying to be nice.
かわいい。
Oh.
ああ、坊や、そのイヤリング。
Is this Ito? It is.
ありがとう。
男の人なのに中に着てるの。
Oh, it's such a small thing to
なんで
notice.
かわからないけど。
通りがかった子が拾ってくれた。
あらほんと。
Oh, we're gonna get to see his wife.
どら焼き持って行ってもらおうと思って。
And we saw a picture of her before, but see how she acts.
あなたがイヤリング見つけてくれたの？
はいはい。好きなのを持ってって。あれ、どうしたの？
What a sweet
ど
couple.
ら焼きは嫌？
そのおばあちゃんの服
Oh,
綺麗だなって。
that's so cute.
パリだと思ってね。君はおしゃれがわかるんだね。
そういうわけでは。
うちの奥さんいつもおしゃれだから、また見に来てくれると嬉しいな。
Tsubaki actually looks a lot like the My Dress Up Darling
顔を出すようになる。
Gojo from My Dress Up Darling,
その度
which is
素敵な
appropriate
格好をする二人を見れて楽しかった。
considering he likes pretty things. Okay, so yeah, this is the back room that she did all her fashion stuff in.
ああ、お茶っ葉のストックどこだったかな？
はいはい。
You're looking at the lipstick, yeah. Oh. You could just ask Yui about it. I'm sure she'd be so happy to share it with
タス
you.
クちゃんも塗ってみる。
Yeah.
大丈夫だから。ほらできた。
Oh.
二人とも
It's so cute.
タスクちゃん、口紅塗ったの？
That's so
いいね。
cute. I love these two. Oh.
嬉しいの。口紅を塗って喜んだりしない。でも嬉しいって思っちゃうの。もう
Oh.
友達に家族に嘘をつきたくない。
Jeez, that's a lot for a kid to have to think about.
普通になりたい。
Oh.
ハイヒールって知ってる？男の人の靴だったのよ。
Mm. Yeah,
そうそう。
society changes.
もともと馬に乗りながら弓を引くときに
Yeah.
体を安定させるための
Because it needs to hook into the stirrups or whatever, right?
もともとは身を守るおまじないだったの。
女のものだから使おうと思ったわけじゃないと思うよ。その人がいいと、そうしたいと思ったんじゃないかな。
そうではないの。
Oh.
タスクちゃんだからそう思ったの。
多くの人がそう思うことを言って言うけど
These are such progressive old people. I love it.
に変わっていく。
こんなによく似合うんだもの。
Oh.
私でもあの二人はありのままの私を受け入れてくれた。
Ah, yeah, I'd be indebted
好き
to
だ
them
と言ってくれ
forever
た。
after
もう一
that.
人じゃないって思った。だから今度は私の番。
That's exactly what I look like right now.
つけるために俺たちも協力します。
Hell yeah.
ね、さくらさん。
Yeah, he wants to do it. He just doesn't want to say it. Yeah.
すげえ行くの。いつだよ。
Oh, man.
昨日みんなと奥さんの話したら久しぶりにアルバム見たくなってね。
Oh,
その
nice.
時のワンピー
パッと見は何に悩んでいるかわからないね。でもこれ
I feel like I relate a lot to Ito-san. I think I
こちらを
would.
ちゃんと向いていないのも
I feel like that's how I'd be when I'm
カメラ
older.
向け。これだよ。
え、これそこの庭？
そうだよ。大丈夫かい？
そんな驚くような感じでしたか？あ、もしかしてさくらこの写真見て恋愛成
Yeah, it's just too romantic for him.
うるせえ。ただカステラが気管に入っただけだ。赤くなっちゃうんだって。
あ、そうかい、そうかい。
ねえさくら、この写真どんな風に見えたの？
It looks like two people who loved each other.
あれだ。ばあさんが梅宮と話してる。
Yeah, looks like she was in love with you.
やだ、私こんな可愛く見えてた。
Aw, that's a cute way to take that as well.
やりますね。梅宮っていうのはほら、いつも話してる私の好きな。
Oh, I can't do this.
じゃあどうしたの？
Like someone else saw that in her.
本当にそう見えるかい？
なんでそんなこと？
になってから不安だったんだ。
Yeah.
ゆいさんはちゃんと幸せだったのかなって。僕は彼女が大好きで見合い結婚だったし、ゆいさんは
Oh, it was an arranged marriage?
する人じゃなかったから。ゆいさんは
Oh.
どうだった？
ってこれだったんだ。そんなこと。
Oh, did Sakura just like really help this
だっ
man?
たんだけど、一人になるとそんな不安ばかりが大きく
Well, I relate a lot to Ito then,
でも
because I completely understand this.
少しほっとしたよ。急にゆいさんが花水木を植えるって言い出したんだ。普段は嫌がるのに、植えた後なぜか二人で写真を撮ろうって言ってきてね。
Oh, this music's really nice.
いつもおしゃれに夢中な君は素敵だね。
Oh.
すねてるみたいで。後になって恥ずかしくなっちゃってね。
Oh.
もっといろいろと聞いておくんだったよ。
いや、おばあさん、怒ってたみたいですよ。華やかな恋。そして、Am I indifferent to you?
Oh, wow. Even said it in
あなたに
English.
関心がないとでも
She's like
花水木はお
frustrated.
ばあさんの少し意地悪な質問だったんじゃないでしょうか。
Like, I can't believe you don't think I love
分かっ
you.
てないのねおじいちゃん本当におばあちゃんのことは私に好きなものを好きでいていいって教えてくれた人が好きじゃない人と一緒に
Jesus, this episode's all out.
そう話してくれる人がそばにいてくれたら幸せです
Oh.
俺にはよくわかんねえけどどうでもいいやつのそんな顔は
ありがとねみんなでも僕が悪いとはいえ
Yeah, it's a very roundabout way of doing
気
it.
づかせるつもりもなかったんだろうがかなわないよ
That's so cute. Oh my god, dude. I was like crying that whole episode. Like right from the start of Tsubaki's backstory all the way to the end. Oh man. It just touched on so many themes that I really love and that mean a lot to me. And even when they don't mean, like even the ones that don't necessarily relate to me, they're ones that I find to be so engaging regardless. Like, I have varying levels of... I mean, I think this is what one thing I love about Windbreaker is, like, I have varying levels of sort of, relatability to so many of these characters, right? Like, you know, I was relating to Nire a bit in this episode, I was relating to Sakura a bit in this episode, I was relating to Tsubaki a bit in this episode, and Ito. Like, there's a lot of characters that I connect with for different reasons throughout it, you know? And I mean, I think the Ito stuff hit me the most. Like, that felt the most relatable to me overall. Because I'm kind of like when Tsubaki's talking about when he was a kid and he was like struggling a lot with the idea of he really liked cute things and he was like watching the girls talking about bracelets or whatever and he was like envying them and like wishing he could be a part of that group, a part of that conversation. Like, I'm not gonna say I relate to it that deeply. Like, I didn't have that heavy of an experience, but I relate to it at least on like a base level of like, I certainly during, you know, high school and primary school and stuff, there's certainly like many times where like I sort of subconsciously was holding back who I am and holding back the things that I like because of the fear of how people perceive that stuff, right? And like I'm at a place where like I really feel like I'm, you know, I'm comfortable with the certain amount of masculinity that I have and I'm comfortable with the femininity that I have. I'm not gonna say I'm like overly feminine, I'm not overly masculine. You know, I like a lot of feminine stuff, but I don't like everything that's considered feminine. You know, like I don't want to wear makeup. I don't feel comfortable in makeup, and I don't like I have worn makeup before for like stage shows and stuff, but like I've never been like, oh, I want to put on lipstick or anything. Like it's never been something I'm supremely interested in. But I do often like compliment people on their makeup, and not in a like, oh, you're so hot way, but in a like, wow, your makeup looks really nice, and I think that's awesome, you know. And like, so I appreciate makeup on people, and you know, I've got a lot of this is not a brag, I've got a lot of LGBT friends, and so, you know, I see makeup on men, on women, on non-binary people, quite a lot, and I've seen it look really awesome on all types of people, But yeah, I'm not one to like really want to wear makeup myself, but I appreciate it, right? I'm not one to care so much about fashion, but I love seeing people who look really pretty and stuff, and I will like talk about outfits that I really like, you know. I'm, you know, I like sports, which can generally be considered like, you know, a more masculine thing. But, you know, I don't like cars, which is another big masculine thing, you know? Like, I know basically nothing about cars. I genuinely can't even tell you what my car is other than telling you its color. Like, I know it's a hybrid. I've got a hybrid. But like, that's kind of all I can tell you. So, you know, like, it's a big variety in there, you know? And I think I'm very lucky. I was raised by a wonderful father and mother, and I have an older sister who also helped to raise me. You know, she taught me a lot as I was growing up, helped to teach me how to read, helped to do a lot of stuff. She's 5 years older than me and was very quintessential in me growing up. And so I think I, like, as a very clingy, emotional person, you know, I connected a lot with my mother and sister. And so I kind of saw femininity in a very, like, it was a very strong influence in my life. And I think throughout this channel, I have very often talked about how, like, I get connected to female characters in TV shows faster than anything else in the world. Like, if you ask me my favorite character in basically any piece of media ever, 99.9% of the time it's gonna be a woman that's in the series. And it's and you know, like, sometimes I'll attribute it to just me being a simp, but other times it's like it's genuinely like just sometimes a connection that I have with femininity. And female characters also tend to be more on the emotional side, which I connect with more, you know. And so I feel like a lot of that is because, you know, my upbringing, I always found women to be very important in my life. And not only was my mother and my sister very important to me, but my father was, like, as I was growing up, really drilled into me how much I should care about my mother and sister. Like, really helped me to feel like I wanted to protect them, you know? And so, you know, and I'm kind of grateful for that because it made me see them in a new light. So yeah, seeing Tsubaki, I watch his backstory, and I think that I connect with the ideas of, you know, feeling slightly feminine, but not knowing if you should really show that part of yourself to other people around you. I also went to an all-boys school during high school, so you know, surrounded by men, you know, and so it would have been extra, like, it would have exposed me extra, I feel like, if I act more feminine in that scenario. So yeah, there was parts of it where I'm, like, being more fake. I'm very grateful that over time I have, like, transitioned into being more of myself. I shouldn't use the word transitioned when transitioned also can be in gender transition, which I haven't done. But I you know, became more myself over time, and the proper friends of mine from high school that have stuck around, like, always completely accepted that part of me. But, like, even simple stuff like, you know, I watch anime, and I watch a lot of anime. I do this channel where, like, majority of the stuff that I watch on this channel is anime. I have a YouTube channel where I just watch One Piece episodes. Jen watches One Piece. You can go check that out. But it's like, there's, you know, there is still kind of a stigma on anime, even though it's not the same sort of stigma that it used to be, like, because anime is a lot more mainstream these days. There still is kind of, like, you know, when you think of anime fans, you think of a certain type of person, and I don't really blame people for feeling that way, because there do tend to be, like, anime fandoms who can be, like, quite obnoxious, or who can have, you know, strange and horrible opinions. But I think anime is a very special thing. It sometimes, even now as an adult who mostly is very comfortable with how I feel, sometimes I hesitate when people ask me like what I like to say like, oh, I'm a big fan of anime, because I go like, well, what is this person gonna think of that? But I think most of the time, within a few seconds, I go, you know what? I don't care what they think of that. I'm just gonna tell them what I like. I like anime. And then if the person does go like, oh, okay, well, anime is blah, 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 then I can just go like, well, I think it can be like a really special thing, and like, here's what I like about it. And generally, after that, people go like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and we move on, you know? But I'm also an adult. It's so much easier to articulate that stuff when you're older. I also have a degree in English, which means I should be good with my words, theoretically. Or I have a degree in creative writing, but I have a minor in English. I studied English a lot during university. I should theoretically be able to articulate my points in a decent enough way for someone to understand what I find special about media. Also, I do this YouTube channel. The whole thing in this YouTube channel is me talking about media and what I love about it. So, and by the way, this discussion, I know it's going to get away from me. I know there's going to be points in this discussion where I'm not talking about the show necessarily, but talking about why I am connected to the show. If you are waiting for me to talk about the show, I will talk about it more, but you know, I just got to follow my heart on this one. But yeah, so I know anime has been like a thing I've wondered whether I should talk about or tell people, you know, that I make videos on anime. And, you know, and sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and go for it because, you know, most of the time, either people will judge you for it, and then you can go, well, them judging me for it kind of says more about them than it says about me, which is a hard thing to tell yourself. Or they just go like, whoa, okay, cool. What anime do you watch? You know, like a lot of the time, the people are just going to be like, oh, I've kind of dabbled in anime. What sort of stuff do you watch? Do you watch Attack on Titan? You know, like they'll just do that, and then you can just go further into it. I've had a decent amount of friends where I'll say that I watch anime, and they'll sort of like make some jokes, you know, lighthearted jokes, jabbing at me for liking anime or whatever. But then, you know, a couple months later, they'll have started a certain anime that they really like, and guess who they come to talk about it? This guy, baby. They come to me and go like, oh, I just started watching Dan. Can we talk about it? And I'm like, fuck yeah, we can. I knew you'd come around eventually. So yeah, like there's those parts that I really relate to. But then the reason I was saying I relate to Ito quite a bit is because Ito seemed to love the pretty things about his wife, and he seemed like he wasn't seeing, you know, my wife is a woman and so she likes womanly things and I like seeing her in womanly things because she's a woman. Like, he's just like, I like pretty things and I like my wife, and seeing those things together is very special to me. And that is like that's me to a T. Like, I love women and I love the pretty things that women wear and that women, you know, the makeup that women have and the like things that make women happy. I love all of that stuff. I love to see it all together. I don't necessarily need it. I don't need to see myself in it. I don't get anything out of that, but I do love to see them in it and them being happy in it. That's what's special to me. And so, like, there's that part of him, which I really enjoy. I like how accepting he was of Tsubaki. And, like, so, not even just accepting of him, but so, like mindlessly, you know, like, without a second thought. He came into the room, he saw Tsubaki in lipstick, and he was like, oh, you're in lipstick, that looks great on you. Like, he didn't even say, like, his first thought didn't seem to be anything about like, well, you're a boy, like, oh, even though you're a boy, that looks great on you, or anything like that. That wasn't even, you know, that wasn't even seeming to run through his head. It was purely like, lipstick is pretty and you're wearing it and you look pretty. That's great, you know. And that's a really good thing when it's like he's not even gendering it in the slightest. It's not until Tsubaki brings up the gender side of it that they talk about the idea of like, you know, the idea that men, you know, high heels were originally for men and makeup originally was for this and that, you know. So I like that Ito, like, that's not even a consideration. I'm not gonna say that it had never been a consideration for me, where it's like I never gendered stuff. I of course did. I you know, I don't even think I became as accepting a person until late high school / after high school. You know, it took, I was never a bigot, I don't think, but sometimes it takes you a while to like fully become accepting, and especially sometimes it's like, you know, you become close with certain people and you understand through those people, you know, more about, like, you know, like I remember I was in high school, and I mean, this is embarrassing to admit, but I'm glad that I've grown out of this point. But like, while I was in early high school, there's like a classic thing that like I think a lot of teenage boys will go through, and some never grow out of it, of like an anti-feminism phase, you know, like this idea of like, oh, I hate feminism because it's just a way for women to blah 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 blah, and oh, they're so annoying, and oh, they get triggered by everything, you know, like you go through that phase when you're a teenager, and really it's just misogyny. But like I didn't really understand properly. And I think also going to an all-boys school doesn't help with that. I'm surrounded by that, you know. Not to say I didn't interact with women. Luckily, I was in the school musicals, and I was not to brag, but I was the lead in a lot of the school musicals. And they were a joint production with our sister school, which was an all-girls school. So I did interact with a lot of women still. But I'm just saying, like, when you're at an all-boys school, yeah, you can be surrounded by a lot of toxic masculinity. And I definitely went through those phases. I think I evolved the most as a person when I was towards the end of high school in a relationship. And I would see some of the shit that my girlfriend at the time was going through. And I was like, well, that sucks. And then also like noticing that in what my sister goes through and what my mother goes through, you know. And like once you start to like properly understand that, then it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm the asshole, you know. Like I get it now, and I need to be on their side rather than pointlessly fighting against like the 0.005% of like toxicity that doesn't really exist and is exacerbated by the angry masses, and instead like fight for what's right, or at the very least just help other people fight for what's right, or at the very least just get out of the way as people are fighting for what's right. Just like, it's not, I don't need to necessarily have a major say on it. So I think sometimes, you know, being close to it can help you have more empathy for that sort of thing. But I really liked the bit where Tsubaki was a kid, and like I liked it, you know, not because I like seeing Tsubaki cry, but because I feel like that's a really heavy moment. Him looking at himself in the mirror, seeing himself in lipstick, and crying because he likes it so much. But not crying out of happiness, crying out of despair. The idea that I like this so much, but I feel like I can't have this, you know. And that's like, that really got me in the episode, because it it made me very sad, because for him that's really overwhelming. Like if I saw it like a, you know, 30-year-old doing that, I wouldn't be like, you shouldn't be crying, but I would be like, but you can go get that, and you should know that you can go get that, you know. But especially as a kid, it feels like everything feels so much more magnified when you're a kid. Everything feels like so much of a bigger deal than it is. If you have a fight with someone at school, if there's like drama going on at school, that's your entire world. Like that feels like the most important thing ever, you know? If you fail a test, that's the scariest moment of your life. Like simple things like that, like the smallest stuff feels horrible. And the idea of like people at school will not accept me if I like girly stuff is like such a horrifying idea. And so I think we gotta have some more empathy with kids sometimes, you know? People will complain about kids quite a lot, especially because the internet has exposed us a lot more to communicating with kids because they have access to the internet and we have access to the internet and they're sort of like anonymous on there. So we end up interacting with kids way more than we normally would in our everyday life. And when they're in adult conversations, it can be annoying to people. But you gotta have empathy for kids because they haven't been on this world long, and everything feels so much worse. And I remember how horrible things can feel. And so when you're dealing with like gender identity, or at the very least gender norms, like that's a heavy societal pressure to deal with as a kid. You know, it may seem like a silly thing. It may seem like, well, whatever, just like bracelets. Like, it's fine. You know, just, it's not a big deal that you don't like cars. But it kind of is as a kid because you feel like, he said, like, I don't want to keep lying to people. He feels like the world is putting pressure on him and he has to, like, hold who he is back. Which is a lot for a kid to deal with, you know? It's a lot for anyone to deal with. I mean, anyone who has to lie to people on a daily basis, like, that sucks, you know? So it sucks for a lot of LGBT people being in the closet and just, like, having to not be able to tell people who you are, you know? If you're a trans person in the closet and, like, people are constantly misgendering you, even if you are used to it necessarily, it still takes a toll on you because that's your identity. That's who you are. Like, that's you as a person. Every time someone casually, if you're a trans woman, every time someone casually uses he, him pronouns, like, they're not meaning any harm. They're not trying to harm you, but they see you as something you don't see yourself as. That's going to weigh down on you over and over and over, and you won't realize how much it is. Until you fully realize, you know, until you come out. So yeah, it's a lot. But then also just like Ito, I know this discussion's all over the place. I know it is, but I hope you're still getting something out of it. Also, like, I relate to Ito because he, one, loves his wife very, very much. And like, you know, when I am in a relationship, like, I am pretty fucking committed. And two, when he is not with her anymore, he is second guessing himself and going like, did she really love me? Right? I relate to that so hard. I mean, that was like such a big anxiety in my relationship. In like my major relationship was like the idea of like, does this person like actually love me, and am I worthy of being loved? Like, it's a very tough thing, and I went through that a lot as well. The sad thing is my relationship ended because it turned out by the end she didn't really love me, and so she broke up with me because she wasn't feeling anything for me anymore. But that wasn't the way it was at the start, and like, I've healed through it and sort of allowed myself to understand that like that it wasn't just a relationship full of a lie of like I was never loved. I was loved at some point. Sometimes feelings fade, and I've come to terms with that. I've grown with that, but it is very difficult sometimes to go like, when we break up, for me to go like, did she ever love me, and can anyone ever love me? Am I able to be loved by someone and like properly loved for who I am? or will everyone who ever loves me like find out that they don't love me in time? You know, it's a fucking tough thing to come to terms with. But I feel like I've come out on the other end of that, and I'm quite comfortable with where I am, where like I'm not in a relationship, I'm a single man, and for now I'm okay with that. You know, a relationship would be nice, but I'm not like actively seeking it out, and I'm not like very depressed that I'm not in a relationship right now. But if I do any sort of love that I do find with people, even platonic love, you know, like I love my friends. I love the people that are close to me very, very much. I just think I'm way better at just accepting these people love me, and they love me for the person that I am, and that's great. And I'm just going to accept that. And if I find out at some point that someone doesn't love me, that's a them thing. It's not a me thing. It's not because of who I am. It's just because of the compatibility between us, or something, you know, in their past or something. But yeah, so, but I like what we got to know about Yui from this episode. Like, she's a very quiet woman, and she struggled, I think, to speak up and to articulate her feelings about a lot of this stuff. So even when Ito made the comment about like, oh, you always look so lovely or whatever, and I don't feel like you look my way, like, she hears that, and she, like, we saw that that image that they did of her like pouting and kind of angry. She's like blushing but angry. It's like that. It was a really well illustrated look, I think, because it showed that she seems like she's like, well, fuck you, but also like, fuck you because I love you. I can't believe you don't see that. But she also seems to struggle to, you know, express her feelings. And I mean, maybe, yeah, I'm not going to make a diagnosis, but I'm sure people could make the argument that she like is on the spectrum or something. I'm not sure. But you know, she struggles to express her feelings, doesn't quite know how to say that stuff properly out loud. And so instead, she kind of like silently expresses it through Flora. She kind of plants a tree to prove him wrong, not for him, but for herself. And it just so happens Suo is really exceptional in that area and figured it out. But man, that part of the episode where Sakura blushes at the photo, and it's because he sensed the romance in it, and because of the way she looked, like that she looked happy with him, and then Ito just starts crying. Holy shit, man, that's a fucking great moment. That's beautiful. I love I love moments like that, because it's like the smallest thing that, you know, Sakura didn't even consider that it would affect him, but for Ito it like completely solved something he'd been grappling with for a year. And I just really, really loved that moment. I think that moment was really beautifully done. And I think it's a big thing sometimes, like, we can't see how much other people care about us, but like sometimes someone else from the outside will come and be like, wow, that person really loves you, huh? And I'm like, what? They do? But it's like, yeah, they do. Like, you don't realize that how much they light up when they're around you, because you're always like, whenever you're around them, they always look like that. But it's because of you that they look like that, you know? It's just beautiful, man. What a beautiful episode. This is a fighting anime, by the way. This is an anime where people punch people in the face. There was like not even the smallest hint of that in this episode. Not even the tiniest hint. And I loved every second of this episode. I truly, truly did. Wow. Like, I really liked season 1 of this show. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great season. To me, the highlight of season 1 was the tournament, right? That tournament was so great. But I really loved it, not necessarily for the character work, even though the character work was brilliant. And like you know, the leader of Shishitorin or whatever their name is, like their leader and their co-leader, like those two characters had such strong characterization and great backstories and stuff, but that wasn't necessarily why I loved that arc so much and why I think about it so much. I actually really just loved the matchups and the fight and the build up. I thought the animation and everything, like I thought all of that was done really well. And so after season 1, I was like, I hope the show, you know, grasps onto that aspect of it more, right? Season 2 has not done that. Season 2 has instead really, really found its stride in like digging fully into the character work in such a way that I see this show as a character show now, and I'm enjoying it so much more with that expectation. Where it's like, I really want the show to keep doing fights, and I really want the fights to continue being hype and awesome, but I'm seeing the show as a character show first now, and I really like seeing it like that. And I really like that the show has embraced that, and that like there's an episode like this one, and the last one I think was the one before that, also the one on the rooftop about the rooftop talks or whatever. Like those 2 episodes back to back, both just like purely character based episodes that really, really shine. So yeah, this writer is top tier. Is it a man that writes this? I think it is, but I'm gonna look it up. Windbreaker mangaka. Did you mean manga? No! Satori Ni? Yeah, Satori Ni. Satori Ni is the writer and illustrator of Windbreaker. Gender male. Yeah, cool. The reason I say that is because I watch a lot of series. A lot of the time, the ones that really like feel like they're in touch with emotions, I will often look them up, and they're written by women. And I'm like, well, that feels like it makes sense. And also, you know, like I love that. And so I tend to, you know, as the years have gone on, when I find out that there's a popular manga or something and it's also written by a woman, I am more interested in it, because I'm like, oh, I might connect with it more. Like I tend to actually connect with stories written by women quite a bit. And like my favorite romance right now, maybe of all manga, is Blue Box. I love Blue Box very much. Written by a woman and very in touch with its emotions, you know. But Windbreaker is very in touch with its emotions, written by a man, but it also makes sense because it's, as I said, it's themes about masculinity and themes about like what, you know, how emotions and masculinity can coincide. And I think that's great. And I think like the male perspective on this actually really, really assists. You know, it really helps to sell that story. So really great. I love this show. That's Windbreaker, season 2, episode 6. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.